Shut up and sit down.
The current state of politics is unsustainable, politically, economically.
You still have distrust there.
We all come from very different places.
Man, we don't want the government to do a damn thing.
We deserve better.
People have to have the information in front of them.
It is about supporting, platforming, and assisting the people who are out here actually doing the fight.
There you go. Like, just promote people who are doing something. Volunteer to work with people who you like. And
take an issue that's important to you and do something.
You are part of that declaration against tyranny.
This conversation gives me a little more hope for the future.
The one, the only Fight for Liberty. This is the cherry on top.
Hello, all of you beautiful, wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Fight for Liberty Live. I'm your host, David Fite, and I'm here to get you excited about making the world a freer place through various different ways. I hope you enjoyed this episode as you enjoy the rest of them that you've seen. But before we really get started today, I want to just take a quick second and wish a great activist and candidate, Larry Sharp, a happy birthday. Larry, if you weren't here in New York, the movement would not be anything like what it is here. So I can't say thank you enough, and I hope you have an awesome birthday. I just want to take a second out of this to wish you that, and again, say thank you for everything that you've done here for the party and the movement in New York. But we're going to continue on with the show. We have a really interesting guest coming on tonight that I cannot wait to tell you about. But first, real quick, I'm going to tell you about Blood of Tyrants wine, which you should already know about if you've been watching the show long enough. They've been a sponsor for a while. But if you're looking for a nice night in while also sipping on the blood of your enemies and supporting the destruction of the tyrannical state, look no further than Blood of Tyrants wine. It's a nice Merlot distributed by activists you know and love. So go on over to bloodoftyrants.wine, and you can use promo code F4L is dedicated to helping entrepreneurs start, grow, and maintain their businesses by providing a wide variety of products and services to make your business more efficient, manageable, and or profitable. Now, when was the last time that you changed the cover photo on your business page? Maybe months or years? Does it reflect anything about what you're currently working on or who you're currently working with or the culture that you're building in your company? Well, Crafton has the solution for that. You get to test out 2 of their teams by working with both their marketing and graphic design experts to sit down and really get an idea of what your business is doing, what you're trying to market, and then have their graphic design team make up a new cover photo for all of your social media accounts to really capture your customers' attention as soon as they click onto your social media and really show them what they're getting themselves into and what you're about, like right there at the top of the page. So going over to crafton.us and sign up for the social media asset promo code F4L, you'll get $5 off that. So it's only $95. Like you guys can do $95 to give your social media a little bit of a facelift, right? Well, I hope so. But without further ado, we have the founder and CEO of MyArkit on here today, the one, the only, Mr. James Gebhardt. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me on. This is going to be cool.
All right. So I always like to start off with kind of a testimonial question to kind of get our feet wet. So I want to know when did you feel the entrepreneurial bug where you thought you were going to be the kind of person to build a business?
It wasn't that I wanted to start the business. It was out of necessity that I started the business. Yeah, it was, I was always been kind of a hands-on guy. I was a mechanic. I was an electrician for 20 years. But this business, because there was nothing else out there that kind of that filled the void, that I kind of had to take that jump into a realm of where I had no idea how to do it. I was not a business person per se. I was not a computer person per se, but I wanted to have this for my kids and for other people.
People what?
Well, the simple story goes back to about 96. Me and the wife and our 2 younger daughters were back visiting my dad back in Iowa, on where I grew up basically. And I sat down a video camera and I started asking him pictures of his life. What did he do when he was a kid? You know, he was a paper boy for a million years. He was drafted in the Korean War, things like that. Some of his first vehicles and, just what he did. And I made the video of that, and then later on, special memories. And then you always get it. I like to give it to my daughters are now getting old enough to graduate and things like that. You want to maybe give it to my brother, other people within his family. And then it's like, where is it at? I have to burn another one. What computer is it on?
Mm-hmm.
And then after also my dad died, there was the family photo album. So many memories on old photo albums. We have an old photo album from 1921 when they took a road trip, my grandmother, when they went to Yellowstone.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it was a cool photo album.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like, what do you do with all these things? You know, I could throw them up in the cloud. And I started researching where these clouds and these other things just go away. You keep them on your computers at home, they get broken. You give them to people, they're going to move a million times and they're going to get lost. So I came up with the necessity of let's figure out some way of being able to archive our lives are digital, archive it, and be able to pass it on.
I love it. Yeah, I think, I mean, growing up, I remember being one of those kids that, you know, my grandma would always sit me down with a photo album or something almost every, it was fine. And just, you know, hearing all of the stories and seeing all of the people and seeing my grandparents, you know, young and skinny and healthy and happy. And, you know, when my parents were a kid and them just being, you know, this happy, cute, in love couple instead of the like ornery old people that I always knew.
we tend to get that way when we get older anyway. Yeah. But imagine looking through one of those photo albums and you have nobody there.
But her parents are both gone, and most of the extended family of their generation is as well. And so, yeah, we're getting to that point where we're really just missing chunks of history out of our lives now because we don't have the right person to go and ask the questions to anymore. And everyone was just kind of relying on either my grandma or my great aunt to just, oh, you know, if you have a question about something that happened at a family reunion or something like that, you just call them up and they know the answer and it's fine. And you don't have to archive it because they do in their brain. But that's not going to last forever. And it's definitely a problem. So I'm excited to hear more about how you found a solution.
Oh, well, I finally got a hold of an IT professional. He'd worked with Disney and the Disney Corporation. He was one of the computer IT people there.
Nice.
And he lives close to me, so that was kind of nice. I kind of live out in the country. And I brainstormed through this process for a number of years, and technology kind of had to catch up a little bit because you can download with a pickup truck, but we upload with a teaspoon. So basically what we're doing is our bandwidth and everything has gotten a lot better. And now we can kind of upload more stuff and things like that. And we can, we're at the point now where we totally live our lives digital. Cradle to grave is digital. Mm-hmm. And if we don't, and we have the technology now to where we can tweak it. We can use it. I mean, there's social medias and stuff like out there that are great. You know, you have certain clicks that work nice and other clicks that you should just stay away from. But this can be very personal. It's nothing that you're going to have out there where everybody's going to have to try to make comments and retweets and all that. No, this is personal. You get to choose who gets to see it because it's kind of like your personal history, your personal memories, and then you can share it with brothers, sisters, mom, dad, grandparents. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah, 'cause I feel like for me, my biggest problem, you know, I grew up in the earlier days of the internet, so I was still a kid with access to the internet, but it was still early on when most people were really terrified of what could happen with the internet. And so, you know, I was raised to not talk to strangers online, and, you know, don't post any pictures of your face or your, like, the kids that you're around, or some people that you're with just like will not want pictures on the internet ever.
Right.
And, you know, it was always like a big thing at like family Christmas or the family reunion or something like that, is like, are these pictures going to be able to go up on Facebook? And if they do, they're going to have to go to like a private group that only we're all in. And it was like this whole big thing early on, like, you know, the early days of like MySpace and or Facebook. And it's very much changed with the following generation. You know, the Zoomers were born and instantly had their baby pictures up on Facebook, and you know, it's a whole different animal now, and they're all, you know, being taught that you have to be putting all of this out there for everyone to see if you want to save those memories at all. And so I really like the distinction that you're making here, that it's not a social media per se, and it's not something that you have to worry about public perception or any of those other things. It's just, hey, this is my story, and for the people that I want to share that with, then, you know, here's that. Is it?
Yeah, we have it. We tried to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask: is it mostly pictures and videos, or are there like, you know, text kind of entries as well?
We have 4 different ways you can upload. You can show short videos. You can do pictures. And with the pictures, one thing we do is you can also hit click, and you can tell your story in audio, attach it to a picture. So you just don't have that with any of the other social media stuff. I could sit there and talk for forever about maybe a car I bought. And, you know, you kind of, you know, or you tell an old funny story or something like that, you know, but you can attach it to a picture. And then you can upload audio files, just straight audio files. And then we also have what we call the daily scribe, which basically you just click in that, and you might just be typing in like almost like a diary, and just click that away. And then when you put entries in, you either put them as public or private. And anything you click on private is basically your stuff. Nobody sees it. Nobody can be on MyArkit, search your name, and then you still have to okay them to see your stuff. They can't just automatically go to you and, you know, they see everything you're doing. Well, my man, make it private. There's a lot of good things out there that people create. People have emotions about stories and things they've done in life. That's why we make it private. And if you wanted to share, like with a family member, you can sit there and share your two accounts together back and forth, where you put something into it and boom, and it shows up in their account.
That's awesome. I love that. You mentioned finding the guy from Disney to kind of help work on the development stuff. How did those first couple conversations go? How did you find him and try explain to him what was in your brain and try to get it from your head to your mouth and then into his brain?
Oh, I've always, when you have an idea, you go out there and you try to, like I said, I was not a business person. So some people go out there and they do their elevator pitches, and you got to have your great stack of information just right, you know, and all that kind of stuff kind of sometimes just boggles my brain. But so actually over a number of years, I would approach people. I say, I got this idea, and I explain to them. They kind of go, oh, I gotta go now, and you know, because they don't see it yet. And I still get it nowadays where they see the perception, but they don't see how to kick it in. And so I remember when I was talking to Dave, my IT guy, I just got off of work, and I had on my hoodie from work. I was electrician for journeyman electrician, residential for a long time. And here I had, my hair was long. It was wintertime. I like to grow it out a little bit when it's cold. And we sat outside a Subway sandwich shop, and he shows up, and I'm sitting there going, "Boy, I'm just not the business person. I'm trying to." And actually, I met him through another IT guy I pitched an idea to, and he kind of said, "Well, I don't think I really want to get into that, but I know Dave. Maybe he'll do it." And then Dave, he listens to it, and he kind of says, "Okay, that kind of sounds interesting. Yeah, let's see what we can do." And they kind of like, finally somebody that sees what you can do with it's not just what we do, but what we can help with people, where you almost like giving them a personality, or their person. Somebody passes away, and like I had a cousin pass away about a month and a half ago. She had pancreatic cancer, and she was gone in like 3 weeks. Jeez. And it was a shame, but at the same time, there goes anything right now where somebody's sitting there go, "Well, I wish I would have had her more memories." Now you don't have the time to do that. So, you know, I try to get people, since we only have a one-time payment thing on this, where you can have it for as many years as we can possibly make it, it's going to be there for you.
How much is that one-time payment?
10 gigabytes is the my lifetime account is $119.95, and you can either do that one chunk or you can do it $10.95 for 12 payments.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. That's
No, like you can have it, 100 years or more until we get blasted by a meteorite or something.
solar flare knocks everything out.
Yeah. Well, I won't get into that. I have things in my brain about different step by different levels of security with database backup. Not going to use just one place. We're going to use multiple places with different forms of backup. So we're going to try to make it as secure as totally possible.
Nice. Yeah, that would be one of my, I don't want to say concerns, but just like, I've been thinking a lot over the last, I don't know, few years about, just the possible like downfall of society or whatever. And just kind of this like, how many of these bets that I'm like hedging against are the actual correct bets to be hedging against, and I should be preparing for something much, much worse. And it's not so much about like locking your door so nobody robs you while you run to the store real quick, and it's more like, make it to an island somewhere where the zombie apocalypse won't get to you. But there's
well,
sorry.
Yeah, we try to make it secure. Just as information wise here, our first line of defense, let's say, for the zombies will be Amazon Web Services. Will database there, and then we're also going to have a secondary database. Will be in Iron Mountain, which will be it's a big, huge database that we're 95% of the Fortune 1000 companies use. Basic banks use that. They use underground storage and computers and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then eventually we're going to have cold storage, which is where you can actually put stuff onto archival DVDs or whatever it's going to be like in 10, 20 years, to where you can't overwrite it. It can sit there and not degrade over 100 years. Mm-hmm. And so if there's an EP explosion or whatever happening, it's not going to affect it. We're going to try to make it as, rock solid as we possibly can.
That's awesome. It's cool to know that you're thinking about that kind of stuff already, and planning for it, because that's definitely not something that's on a whole lot of tech startup minds. Is how do we prep for an EP or a solar flare or something like that. Nobody's really
zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. So how did you come up with kind of the infrastructure and I guess like the funding and everything else to kind of make it actually go forward once you were past that first conversation?
That for a number of years I tried to get funding. I had the idea, mm-hmm. and you get to some of these venture capitalists and things like that, and they say, "Oh, bring your idea in," and then basically they say, "Well, we need to have all these metrics and stuff like that." And I goes, "I don't have any of that stuff. I don't even have it built yet." Mm-hmm. And so over probably a 5-year period of time, I finally came to the conclusion. I had some lady say, "Well, you're going to have to do something." And I went, "Okay." So I have we took some equity out on our property, and I used that to basically build the first MyArkit.com, and then basically we got also into events.myarkit.com is also one of our websites, and that's a great one thing too. And basically, so the main structure is there, 99% of it, and now we're just adding to it. We're going to add Lifesaver U to it. We're going to add the Principal Investment Group to it, Archipedia. There's a number of things I want to add to it.
Nice. What's the event site about?
Oh, that one I really kind of have fun with. Imagine if you were going to go to college, let's say, or let's say even high school, where everybody's running around now with phones, and they can take pictures, and even like a wedding, you're going to go to a wedding, and they used to have it where they had the cameras on the table. Mm-hmm. Well, now everybody's got a phone, and especially like a wedding, things like that, where the actual concept is you have a love story going on there, and mostly everything is captured in one day. But there's a lot of that story that happens way before the wedding and even way after the wedding. Mm-hmm. So you buy an event, which is the same size, 10 gigabytes. But what people do is you can put a QR code to it, send it out to your participants, we call them. They quickly sign up to MyArkit event, which is free. They go to your event and they're sitting around there taking a picture, and they have a great little picture, a little video before the wedding, after the wedding, during the wedding, or whatever. And they pop it right over into your event. And now you can have hundreds of people putting into an event, and then you have even one or two, or however many moderators you want, putting stuff together for that event. And now the people, your 100 people that you had at your wedding can go to one place. They participated in it. They got great stories, just a picture and an audio story to it, some little videos or whatever. And that becomes an event. And that works great for like high school yearbooks, college yearbooks, things like that, where you have your group of people that, you get your yearbook and you have 90% of the people you don't even know. But if you had your group of people, say, 10, 20 people, whatever you really knew, and everybody was in your event, then it becomes fun to see that, years down the road where you go to your event and you're maybe still adding stuff to it.
Yeah, that's really neat. I like that. I actually, one of my first jobs when I was like 19 or so, I worked as a wedding planner, and that was one of the things that my boss was trying to, obviously nothing close to what you're actually talking about here, but she was trying to solve the problem in a much simpler way of just getting everyone there to kind of give her all of the pictures that were taken and try to bring it all together. And we did it to a point, we would like either give out an email address or like make a Facebook group, or usually all of the above, and try to just get as much as we could. But it was clunky and it was obnoxious, and we got so many just like awful pictures, and just like and a lot of duplicates too, because there was a bunch of people that would sit there for like half the ceremony just taking a picture every like 5 seconds to try to like make a
little bitty video. People yeah people don't know how to take pictures. Taking a ceremony of a wedding photographer does a fantastic job. But there's so many behind the scenes pictures, before the scenes pictures, maybe your first, how you proposed. Yeah, I see these great proposal pictures where it shows the bride with her ring, but what's the story? How did he do it? Where was it at? What led up to it? Was he nervous? When did you meet? When was your first, maybe even your first kiss or your first date? All those things actually should be in that story, and they never are.
Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I'm like definitely a like gooey lovebird kind of person. So that shit, I love that stuff. And especially, like I said, with the experience of knowing how difficult that can be organically without a system like what you're talking about. That sounds awesome. Because like my favorite part of weddings obviously is never the ceremony. That's like the most boring part, right? And even the reception is not always like the super best, like, especially from a wedding planner perspective, like the like tux fittings, and when the bride like goes to pick out her dress, that's sometimes more fun than like the bachelor parties and the bachelorette parties. Like I hear stories from sites that are just wild and crazy, because a lot of these dress shops will get them drunk for free. And so these girls are all just like on their 8th glass of champagne or like 6th mimosa or something like that, trying on a whole bunch of different dresses, just having a wild time, feeling gorgeous in ways that they've never like felt before, because they're just in these gigantic flowy obnoxious dresses, because they're just going like, I want to try on the most expensive thing I can for no reason. And some of those stories are, like I said, better than the bachelorette party, because they're less forced, and they're way more organic, and they're way more just kind of free spirited, and they're not like, oh, we have to check off a bunch of things on a list and bring all the people together and have a bunch of drama like a bachelorette party. It's so I love the idea of actually being able to include all of that into the wedding story, and having all of those pictures and some videos and those audios that you're talking about, I think are a really cool addition.
Oh yeah, I even kind of use the concept of say you're rebuilding an old hot rod or building a house or something like that. You can have the event of every one of your contractors and stuff taking pictures if they wanted to. You put it together, It could be in a big building. It could be in a small building. It could be a hot rod where you have everybody, one of the big ones I love doing it with also with I've done with my own one is the family photo album. Remember I talked about that?
Yeah.
It can't be passed around. A person could go to my website or MyArkit and see where I have pictures of it. But if you put it into an event, everybody's putting stuff into that. And putting the moderators can sit there and they can actually put the stories to the pictures. You have no idea who this guy is, who that gal is, what time frame was it. So it works fantastic for a photo album for a family as it's growing, year after year after year.
That's really neat. Yeah, because I know at least for my family, it would take quite a few of us to even attempt to try to put all the right names to all the right faces. Even just in the photo albums in my parents' house, there are plenty of people in there that they don't even know. Like we always have to go to my grandparents, because they both have at least a couple photo albums from when they were kids, or even young adults. They're like, "Who was this? Was this our neighbor? How did we know this person?"
Yeah, how do we know that? And it should pass. I've been to so many estate sales. Sometimes I kind of collect. They're not, we'd be love to be able to just pass on some decent basic memories now. And we can really put in a lot of memories. Imagine having a MyArkit where you give it my grandkids. They got their stuff going into theirs and they're like, 7, 8, 9 years old. Imagine in 30 years after all that little stuff putting into their MyArkit. Seeing how they've changed, how they grow, putting their own perspective into it when their mother hands over their account to them.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this, there's kind of like an almost immortality feature with this where you actually, because I've always been of the mind that the only way that you get to live on, or you live until the last person who knows who you are is dead. And for some people that's not very long after they are, and for other people they're tens of thousands of years later and we're still talking about them. So like in my mind, like Julius Caesar or something, is still, not alive, right? But like, the legend is still alive, and until it dies, like he's still kind of around. And this enables you to, I guess, do that a little bit more yourself instead of having to, necessarily leave a huge impression on tens of thousands of people to really get super remembered like a Caesar or Martin Luther King Jr. or something. You get to just kind of do it yourself and be able to tell your story and tell it from your perspective instead of this kind of like changed passed down telephone game version of history that we have for a lot of other people, even direct family members that we know. It allows you to actually just keep that memory alive in a way that's not really possible without it.
Oh yeah, people want to be remembered, but at the same time I think people have a lot of life history, life knowledge that they can pass on. And it could be just from a story. It could be a funny story. It could be a life-changing story. Me and my wife, how she went through kidney dialysis and she finally got a kidney transplant. Or my youngest daughter, when she had open heart surgery when she was 2.5. Little things like that, you can kind of pass those on and maybe give people within your family or other people kind of going, oh, they went through that. And you don't have to be a famous person to have a book, autobiography by such and such, and half the stuff they put in there, the person sitting there going, I didn't do that. I even like to see, I always call it the Brad Pitt effect, where it's just like, I'd like to see Brad Pitt on here to where he puts in his story of his life and he just makes it private. And then we do have a thing, what we call the executor of an account, where a person passes away. You kind of flip the switch. They can go into your account, flip the switch, and it becomes a memorial account where everything you put into your account is locked. More stuff can be put into it. Anything that was private becomes public, but because you're dead, you don't care. But then you can add, condolences and things like that after it becomes a memorial account. But, you have somebody kind of get things off their chest. People that have been in the military, maybe this would even help people that maybe have certain aspects where they've always kept it inside, they can finally get it out and have it not public, but it's something that they can kind of almost look back on and see it. They can rewind it, and maybe a little bit of self-healing going on there.
Yeah, that's it's like kind of a therapeutic effect without actually having to go to a therapist. I like that. What has been so far the biggest hurdle that you've had to jump to keep this going?
Human nature. And that gets down to where, well, it's 99% of the people I show this to or talk to about it, they understand what we're doing. They always say, oh, this is a good idea. But only about 1% has the get up and go to actually start doing it. We have I kind of call it the aspect of you kind of live in a well, and I can't say lazy, but we're in a world that's go, 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 go. Get on social media, look at this, look at this, look at this. And all of a sudden life is passing you by when you can actually stop for maybe an hour on the weekend or something like that and throw some memories in there. So it's kind of like a human nature. People kind of get complacent and they don't really get off their rusty dusty and figure out, if one of the times I showed this to a lady and she had 2 young girls and their father had passed away. And you kind of start thinking about, and she kind of teared up. I remember talking this years ago. And she said, I wish I would have had this when he was alive, because he would have had something to pass down to his daughters. And nowadays, it's like, okay, now it's there. Let's get people to actually use it. And I have a lot of people saying, oh, I got to get to doing, what's on TV tonight? So just start it. It's going to be there for years and years and years. You don't have to start it and get done with it. It's just starting it. Yeah, human nature.
That's the biggest struggle is starting. And I feel like with what you're doing, there's actually a good chance that people are going back through and looking at it. Whereas I think a lot of people, very, very few times in my life have I gone back through someone who in my life who's passed away's Facebook account to kind of like remember them, because most of your Facebook is bullshit. It's memes and it's stupid jokes and it's petty fights, and
or comments you don't want,
and just like other random stuff like that. Where this is very just like focused to the actual person themselves and their memory. Like, yeah, I feel like I've always thought that like when I die, people are gonna go back through my Twitter and like read it. Like my grandkids are gonna read my Twitter, and no, they're not.
Even if it's still there,
right? Even if it still exists, my grandkids aren't gonna scroll through those tens of thousands of tweets that I have. Like, no, that would be insane. But they would. I mean, I hope that I'm a good enough grandparent that they would want to go through something like a MyArkit where it's really focused on the kind of stuff that they would actually want to see and hear and know about.
Oh yeah, sometimes like I don't get onto MyArkit all the time. I might be, maybe, or like my dad or my mom's. But just the other day I was going through something. I clicked on my dad's, and there he was again, right there. A couple little videos of him, some other little stories and stuff I put in there of him, and it was just, you had that good feeling. It's like there's your dad again. And then it's something that you just don't get out of just looking at a photo album or trying to go to Facebook to where maybe he had the wrong posting on there one time and they deleted his account. I had a friend of mine just today. I had a cousin that somebody had hacked his account and he lost everything on Facebook. He had to make a new Facebook account and start over. Yeah.
Actually, I don't know how this slipped my mind when I just made the analogy about Twitter. I actually just got suspended from Twitter about 3 months ago. I'm on a brand new account. I have like 350 followers now on Twitter. It's we're starting over from scratch. It's fun to be a 350 follower account and have some of those followers be tens of thousands of follower accounts that I still like actually built a connection with from my old account. But there is I'm climbing back up from the bottom now, and I'm at the bottom of all of the replies and everything else where these people that I used to interact with on a daily basis and had a couple thousand followers, I was actually up there. So that's completely beside the point, because that's the negative, obnoxious side of Twitter, that or social media in general, this kind of like gamification of it. But there's so many things that could happen to yeet your social media profile off the face of the earth.
Oh yeah, you got social media is a two-edged sword. There's a lot of fun things on social media. I could sit there and look through some things and just be having a fun time laughing, all that kind of stuff. And the other 90% is, numbing, brain numb. Mm-hmm. Especially nowadays when everybody has to try to do something to get likes or to get follows and they get more influence and the blah, 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 blah. This actually takes the 1% that don't want to have that and just put memories in there. Put some memories, just put some stories, put some stuff down. When you actually start doing it, it's really fun to pull up some old pictures and say, oh, what was that? All of a sudden I'm 10 minutes into why my first car was a 64 Corvair Spider.
Ooh, nice. That's a nice car.
Yeah, I had it in high school. Yeah.
Solid. Yeah, I think as much as I love doing this show and I love some of the things that it's brought into my life, but I do think that it's one of the worst things I've ever done as far as like my psychology towards social media goes. Because as soon as I started, it was a little bit before I started the show. It's kind of one of the reasons why I started the show, but the show has kind of validated this mindset of I need more followers, I need more interactions, I need more because I need more viewers so that I can, get more supporters, and then I can actually do this full time. And, that's just been the mindset for going on 4 years now. And it's super toxic, and it's a terrible way to look at social media of, everything's just about like not winning necessarily, but, doing better and getting more. And it validated that really toxic mentality in my head and kept it there for quite some time, where it was just like, I was addicted. I was on Twitter 6 to 7 hours a day. Like I would be working and on Twitter, back and forth the whole day, answering questions and responding to DMs and replying to replies and just, posting other things, and just, every thought that I had to be a tweet, and it was awful. So I would love something like you're talking, where it's not that, it's not gamified, it's not about winning or sharing the BS or just like the hot topic of today because that's what's trending. It's what actually matters to you and what stories are important to you and the things that you want to talk about, not what you feel like you should talk about because social media told you to.
Right. Yeah. When say you have a picture and it's of a great memory, now you're not sharing it to somebody over the internet. You're sharing it to family. You're sharing it, say, to your kids, or you're sharing it first for yourself. And, it's just, you don't care about nobody's going to comment on it. Nobody's going to say, oh, your hair is terrible or something like that. They're not going to see it. You don't care. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
if I was allowed, I would probably leave those kind of comments on my dad's.
I always tell people we have really fun with this. When a person dies, it kicks over into their memorial account, but you leave that one last message where if somebody didn't like it, tell them you buried the gold in their yard, and everybody else is going to go over there and try to dig it up.
I love it.
Yeah.
So where did the name come from? How'd you come up with that?
Actually, it's from Noah's Ark, Arkit. My nickname is Noah, so it's basically Noah collected animals one by one. We're basically collecting everybody two by two. I'm sorry, 2 by 2, and we're just trying to collect everybody one by one, kind of like same thing, saving the world type of thing. So that's how I come out with MyArkit.
I like it.
And a little bit of a tweak also on archiving. Arkit, my archiving. Arkit is in the Noah's Ark. So,
I like it. That's Double Play, and they're both cool. It's a good name. It used to be one of my favorite things when I worked in finance and like small business finance was, just talking to people about where their names came from, because a lot of them were just really random or it was, so it was clearly a name, but it wasn't the name of the person I was talking to who was claiming to be the owner of the company. So it's clearly named after somebody else that meant something to them. And so that story always opens because it's, Google is a number. It's like 1,000 times a million or whatever. It's an actual mathematical number. And so they would be able to produce that many results, kind of a thing. Was that the results were almost
Google
endless.
Okay. I get YouTube. I get Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter. Tweet Twitter. Instagram. I get Instagram. Some of the other ones are kind of interesting.
Yeah. I hate TikTok. That just the name as well as the app.
TikTok.
I just started using it probably about 2 months ago. I've had an account on there for a while, but my sister's been like hounding me to get more active on there and post clips from the show and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll do it. I'll actually start working on TikTok. And instantly that addict gamification mindset kicked in within a week, because my second video I ever posted got almost 1,000 views and 75 comments and 100 and something likes and just like a whole bunch of attention. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And I was right back to me when I first started on Twitter. And luckily I caught myself quickly, and I was like, all right, we're not getting addicted to this one. We can keep active and try to do the thing, but we're putting up a Chinese wall between it being useful and it being a problem.
You ever used one of those services where you can post out to more than one social media at one time?
I have. I used to use Hootsuite.
Okay,
a little bit. And actually lately I've been using Airtable, which is not a service like that at all. It's a database manager, but it has automations that you can build into your pages that will automatically post to Facebook, and it used to also automatically post to Twitter. So I basically just focused on those two social medias, and I could plan out my social media calendar in there. Twitter just suspended the API for that automation about a month ago. And I don't know why, and I think that they're trying to get it to be a thing again soon. But I think that was part of when Elon was cracking down on bots and automation and that kind of stuff. It makes sense for that to be something that he would take away, because I could really abuse that power, because it would be very easy for me to make it to where I post the same thing every second of every day, just thousands of tweets a day. Because it's a spreadsheet. It's an Excel spreadsheet. So, I can just make as many rows, say the same thing as I want, and just obliterate. So they've always had a rule against tagging people, because you would be able to just harass somebody in an unreal way if you could tag people with that. So that's always been a thing. But yeah, I'm not surprised that if Elon's really trying to make Twitter more authentic and more real time and a little bit more exclusive, you actually have to go onto the app and use it and type it out. I don't blame him, but yeah. I'm a little bit upset, because I didn't notice for a while, and there was like 2 weeks of tweets that just didn't go out from any of my accounts.
It's awful quiet. What's wrong? Yeah, one thing we do with MyArkit is I had my father-in-law one time say, I'm going to just go ahead and migrate all my pictures over to MyArkit. And I says, can't do that. You have to upload one thing at a time, because we're not going to be like a cloud service. You upload one thing, you put a story to it, you put a memory to it, then you arc it. And we make people do that to where, because they're just it's just another place to put a whole bunch of stuff you're never going to do something with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we make everybody one bite of the elephant at a time, put a good story memory to it, arc it, you got it.
I like it. Yeah, because I mean that goes back to what I was saying earlier about the likelihood of people actually wanting to go back through it. If it's just thousands of random photos, like a cloud service, I don't want to scroll through that. But if it's a story,
you still don't know you don't know what's on. You don't even know what's on the picture. If you scroll, some people bring up their phone and they're looking for that one picture. I got to show you this picture. I got it. Don't worry. It's okay. What's on? 10,000 pictures later, they finally find it.
Mm-hmm.
We try to make it to where you can put an album. You make an album, let's say, of your pets, your cars, your wedding. You can make an album of anything you want to. You can also do a search. So, like, I grew up in Iowa. I hit Iowa. Anything I have in there of Iowa, boom, automatically comes up. So we try to make it simple for people to search through things and kind of go through a memory and just see and go, oh, legal's got it right now. I think they're still looking it over. And this is like a year and a half later.
Damn. Well, that's upsetting.
Actually using the phone, because I use Apple. I love Apple products. But I use my Apple phone. I just click on the Chrome because we're optimized for Chrome. Click on that. I click on our app. And then I go right into using it. So it's 3 or 4 more things you got to click through it. But either way you want to do it. Most of the stuff I do, I come home, I flick it into my computer, I download stuff into my computer, and then I have a nice big screen I can see everything with, and then I do my thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of like quality or size requirements as far as uploads go? Is there,
only
X amount of pixels or anything like that?
The only size requirement we have is videos. We put it to 10-minute max, and that's just for bandwidth. So we're not going to have people sitting there go, I got an hour video, and all of a sudden they're sucking up all their bandwidth and all our bandwidth. We just make it. You should be able to tell a story or answer a question in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Or you just basically, like my dad, when I did a video of him, I had to throw it in the computer and chop it up a little bit, and then I threw them up in there in chunks.
That makes sense.
But if I knew, I didn't have MyArkit then. If I knew if I had MyArkit, I would have stopped at 5, 6, 7 minutes into each question, and it started up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and but because we have 10 gigabytes. If you use up to 10 gigabytes, you can just buy another 2 gigabytes at a time. But some cameras nowadays will, they throw out a pretty big size picture. You don't have to go for quality here. You can download the smaller quality because you're going to 10-to-1 be looking at it on your phone anyway.
Fair. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What would you say so far has been the most rewarding part of building this business?
Oh, just knowing that it's going to be there for people. I mean, when I just look back on my dad and my mom and stuff like that, it's instantly right there. I can instantly hear them. I can see them. I know other people, since it's so private, you really don't get a lot of feedback from other people, because this could be something where you're doing it for 20 years until all of a sudden it's just like, oh, Bob passed away or something like that, but I have all these memories of him, type of thing. But I think the fun part is just, for me, is throwing stuff in there and just throwing the memories in there. I really like that. And then actually seeing I also like to see somebody's wheels in their brain turning when you explain it to them. All of a sudden, the little light bulb goes on. Go, hey, maybe I should be doing that. Somebody the other day said, I got a whole bunch of audio from my, what was it, a grandfather or something like that, grandparent, all about the war when they were like in World War II or something like that. And we have no idea where to put it. And it's just almost like light bulb.
That's awesome. I love that. So would you say that you've gotten better at the elevator pitching kind of business mindset part of it?
Oh, to a certain extent. I kind of, sometimes venture capitalists can be too much of a headache to try to talk to sometimes, because sometimes they only see, what can I get out of it? When can I get it out of you? And I really want to talk to people if they want to invest in MyArkit, is the idea, what's behind it. We can always make it better. We always make it work better. Mm-hmm. And stop throwing things like, what's your burn rate? What's your percentage of your turnaround? Blah, 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 blah. It'll change. We'll make it better. And most venture capitalists, 3 out of the 5 times they invest, they don't make any money anyway. So it's kind of like going, just what's the big difference if I have all my numbers correct or not? Even they're not even going to be correct, probably. You know, do invest in the idea. Don't always invest in these numbers on the spreadsheets, because like I said, 3 out of 5 times they're wrong anyway.
Yeah, us finance people can really be obnoxious.
No,
they
mean well, but
I'm completely with you. I've always been in the sales side of finance, and I've very short stint in underwriting, but not much. And so underwriters have always been, my least favorite people to work with. Not actually. I've always been good friends with the underwriting department of every finance place I've worked in, but on the clock, I'm like, oh, I want to strangle you. This business is awesome. Why can't we invest in it? It's like, I get that their books aren't exactly what we want to see, but that's because they're new. And they're like, oh, wait, they're new? Then we're offering them even less money. It's like, oh, they haven't been in business for 3 years yet. It's like, no, they're getting this loan to buy the building, to start the business.
But
yeah, I've always been a little, I've always needed somebody like that next to me, being like, hey, buddy, you can't always shoot for the moon. Like, not every pipe dream explodes well. But yeah, I've not always the biggest fan of trying to pitch something to somebody that's always just about the numbers, because some of this stuff is about way more than that. When it comes to actually starting a business and having that idea and moving forward, and you're putting your blood, sweat, and tears into everything, it's not just about the numbers. And who you are as the founder matters, because you could give me a bunch of really good numbers and be a jack off and just put 3 hours a week into this while you're just kind of using it as an excuse to be unemployed. Like, I know a bunch of entrepreneurs like that, and that the numbers might look good to the underwriting team, but if the heart and the passion isn't there, then the business isn't going to be there.
Yeah, you got to have heart and passion. I have no problem having that. It's the vision. Sometimes a person has a vision 1 year out, 2 years out, 5 years out. Oh no, I'm already into the next century with my vision. I'm way past that, and what we can do for people, and that's a big thing right there. Once another person passes away that you might know, and you're going to be losing a bunch of those memories, I always say, well, there you go.
There is somebody that I'm going to send a message to as soon as we wrap up, and send them your website, because the whole time I've been thinking, I have a very close friend that I call grandma. She's not actually related to me in any way. Her husband just passed away probably 3 years ago, and she doesn't have any terminal illnesses or anything like that necessarily, but we know that there's not that much time left. We've only got a few more years, because she's just starting to come to peace with the fact that she's almost 90 or in her 90s, and
she's doing great. My gosh, doing great. Wow.
She's got grandkids and great grandkids, and I think a few great grandkids on the way, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Soon coming, and she's just kind of like done. But the reason that I became as close with her as I did is I used to volunteer delivering Meals on Wheels with her. And so we would spend probably 4 hours a week together just doing that, every Tuesday afternoon. And we'd go out to lunch afterwards. And she would just tell me so many stories. Stories. And, this was 15 years ago. And she was still, she was one of the sharpest women in our church, as one of the oldest women in our church. And just, she could remember the most insane details about, stories about when she was 7, and just places her dad took her in Pennsylvania, and just all of this stuff. And she's one of the people that really gave me the appreciation that I have for not just history, but people's history. Not what's in the textbooks and in the people that made it big and changed the world, whatever, but the people whose worlds were changed by various moments and things and experiences. And that shit, like, there's not a lot of people that have like a super strong appreciation for that. So when you find someone like that can give you those stories, it's amazing. And I would love to get her an account like as soon as humanly possible so that we can start archiving, because she's got walls of photo albums. And,
she needs it. She needs it. Yes.
Yeah.
A great thing we have with MyArkit is a 30-day free trial. We don't take any bank information. You sign up for it. You use it. If you don't want it after 30 days, it reverts to what we call a view only account, where you could still view somebody else's account. You just can't add anything to your account. But she just tries it for 30 days and have somebody come over and help her set up and ask her some questions. And, it's just like talking back and forth. It's, get a picture. You can, it's as simple as take your phone, you take a picture of it, and then it doesn't have to be professional or anything. It's the memory that counts.
Yeah. Sorry, almost lost my train of thought there for a second. I like what you're saying about the especially, you mentioned the audios a couple of times, and just the actual, it's not about a picture, it's about a story and a memory and like a whole thing together. And it's recreating that scenario I was talking about of my grandma just sitting me down and just like pointing at a picture and then giving me a 10-minute monologue about it, and then flip. Oh, and that's 10-minute monologue about it. And it's not just flipping through, it's the monologues that are the important part.
Oh yeah, it's the story, it's the emotion, it's two of the people I always say that were great storytellers was my dad and my brother. They could sit there and just have me in tears about some old story or something like that, and I'm just going, oh my gosh, all the times oh, tell me that one story. Click, and you start your phone with your recorder or something like that, and now I could have got it.
Yeah. And it's not, you're not asking a lot, I don't think, as far as the users. I think you're, like you said, you're asking a little bit more than like, a cloud service or some other things are, but I think, as we've discussed, that's for the best. But it's not some like huge hurdle to get over to, like, just like you said, just click record on the voice memo on your phone and let your uncle talk, and there you go, you've got it. And then you upload it with the picture that he was talking about, and you're good.
Yeah. And actually, if they go to Amazon.com, they can get this little device that plugs into the bottom of your phone, and then you put them on a little lapel mic. And you could just sit there from the other side of the table and just, hey, tell me about that story. And you go click, and you have perfect audio.
There you go.
Yeah. So, no excuses. Or if you have a whole bunch of pictures, like in a family photo album or a pile of them, I got this little skinny little document scanner from Office Max, and you just scan one at a time. Boom, 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 boom. You just scan them, throw them into your computer. Then you choose which one you want, what story you're going to tell. You don't have to go off to a big fancy service if you don't want to.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I want to ask another question about kind of the more business side of it.
Okay.
How did you go about trying to figure out how to word this in the right way? How did you decide the pricing for it, as far as, being able to keep it a thing, and operational, and be able to make a profit, but not create too much of a barrier to entry? Like, how did you weigh that thought process out?
The swag method?
I do not.
It's called scientifically wild ass guess. And what I looked up some of the glacier storage places. And how much per gigabyte, how much for upload, download, this, that type of thing. I try to extrapolate out how much the person's going to use it, all that kind of stuff like that. And I came to the conclusion in my brain, at least, the cost we have is worth about 100 years worth of storage. And which you don't want to cheapen what you're doing. And what we're going to try to do with we call it the PIG, the Principal Investment Group, is the money we get in. We're actually doing a crowdfunding this month. Go to Kickstarter. Your life is your legacy. And if we get enough money up, basically what that does is it just goes into the PIG and it makes more money. So basically, after a while, it self-feeds itself. Because actually, to put stuff up into a computer in a cloud doesn't really cost that much. But year after year after year after year after year, you still want to be able to afford it or to be able to pay for it. And if we get enough in there, it just basically self-feeds itself. And we're a C corporation out of Delaware that basically is, can live into perpetuity and, feeds itself. We're legal for a couple thousand years, so we're good.
There you go. Yeah, I've seen that be a struggle for a lot of people who are thinking about starting a business. I actually just had this conversation with my sister probably 2 days ago, and it's not the first time I've had it with her because she's actually on her second kind of gig economy style career. She was a hairdresser, and now she's actually going back to what she went to college for, which is like audio video production. And so I was working with her on a client, and I was asking her, how much was she going to charge for, just editing a podcast? And she was like, I don't know, how much should I charge? Because it's like, I don't want to say too low of a number, and like you said, cheapen yourself, but I also don't want to say a number that I'm not actually going to be able to close, right? If I'm telling him, he already told me that somebody offered him $500 an episode to just like record and chop up a really simple podcast, and there was no way he was ever going to pay that. So if she said a number like that, there was no way I'm closing this deal. And so I've seen it be one of the major like psychological hurdles for a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners of not trying to screw people over, not trying to be kind of vindictive in business at all, but also, not screw themselves over and go out of business, and trying to weigh that balance is, I don't know. I was just kind of curious where it came from. I mean, like you said, the price is, I mean, it seems very reasonable and very solid to me. And
I also came to the conclusion where if you were to, create your own website, and this is kind of like your own personal website. You create your own website, you put your own stuff on it. That alone is going to probably cost you, it's really make it bare bones $20 a year. If it's just bare bones, nothing. Okay, well, extrapolate out to 100 years. That's $2,000.
Yeah.
And it's all, and as we get bigger, we get into different groups of, gigabytes and terabytes, and things get cheaper and things like that. So, we had to stick a number, and the magic number of 100 kind of puts it into you're going to get it and you're going to respect it. You're not going to buy it for $29.95 and then never use it. So, you can still do it $10.95 a month for a year, because I want to make it accessible to everybody. But, you might not sit there and, sit on it for a year, and it's just, I better do something like that because something happened in your life or something. And it's just like, I better start doing that, and if you get into a little bit of a routine, even once every other month or something like that, sit down and just throw some stuff in there from your phone, clean out your phone. Hey, that's a novel idea to do. Clean out your phone, dump it on your computer, take the good stuff, the memories you want to use, boom, they go into MyArkit.
I need to do that. I was actually, my phone has been yelling at me for weeks. And I actually just
I can hear it from here.
26 gigs worth of photos and videos on my phone right now.
Oh my God.
I just looked that up like a few hours ago, because I was trying to see what I needed to delete, if there were any like really big apps that I didn't use that much that I could just delete and get my phone to stop yelling at me for a little bit. And it was like, nope, it's pretty much all of your storage is photos and videos, and then like the software that you can't delete, and then the couple of apps that you do use a lot. And that's it. That's all. You've got nothing. You gotta clean out your photos, dude.
You gotta clean out your photos. We don't take advantage of technology and store it and save it and put the good memories to it. We just, oh, look what I did last week. Boom, 100 pictures later. You're just on top of more pictures on top of more pictures.
Yeah. And what you were talking about earlier about just the technological advances since you came up with the idea itself, like if I talked to you idea, but I wouldn't have bought into it in 2005 when it would have taken me 45 minutes to upload that 10-minute video. It's just I wouldn't have wanted to do that. And I was a little ADHD riddled teenager. There's no way I was sitting through that, or, struggling through that kind of upload speed. And my mom would have killed me if I bogged down the bandwidth of the whole house for that long.
You still had DSL dial-up?
We had dial-up for a while as a kid because we don't live my parents don't live where we could get cable or any of that kind of stuff. So we didn't get anything. We had dial-up, and then we finally got a satellite when I was like 12. And that's how we were getting our internet, I believe. But it was a struggle for a while there, of just, I would try to download songs from my MP3 player, and it would be 5 to 10 minutes per song. It's
when my girls were young, the first Harry Potter movie was coming out, and we lived out in the country here, and we had dial-up. And I remembered sitting on my little iMac Tangerine, waiting for about an hour to download like 1.5 megabyte trailer video of Harry Potter, #1, and we almost got to the end of it, and somebody called. So then we had to start all over again. But it was about midnight. We finally got the little bitty trailer about postage stamp size on my little iMac downloaded, and we all huddled around it seeing the trailer to Harry Potter. And it was obviously that was kind of magical. It was really kind of cool, but it took forever.
Yeah. Yeah, and we were so excited about that stuff back then. Because you could do it. You downloaded a video you had that video on your computer. That's fucking awesome. Like you could watch
I'm
a little over and over again.
Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you. I can remember the first time me and a friend, we actually put together a 386 with like 8 gigabytes of RAM, and we barely got Windows 3.0 to run. Yeah, and it was just like, woo, this is really cool. And he showed me how he dialed up and he sent over a little message over the phone. He didn't have to mail it, and I just thought that was the coolest thing.
Yeah. I think the first operating system that I can remember using is Windows 98.
Apple was, mid 80s. I was down in California working down there, and one of the guys I worked with had one of the old Macintosh ones. And the coolest thing I thought about that is you could throw the little floppy disk in, and I could play chess. And I could win once in a while, but I don't do that anymore because I make 2 moves, I'm already checkmated.
Man, yeah, it's so funny. I know for a fact that there are people watching that have no idea what you meant when you just said floppy disk.
Or RAM.
Well, I mean, at least that's something that's still, you kind of
and still out there.
If you know computers at all and you're not just on your phone, RAM is at least still a thing. I remember running up and down the stairs. So I built my first computer when I was probably 10 because my dad was a computer repair guy. So he just had like a scrap of computers in his office.
Cool.
So I watched him do what he did for a while, and finally, him and I together kind of put together the scraps of one of my mom's old computers, and we very specifically did not build it to where it could use internet in any way, shape, or form because it was going to go in my room. And, you know, I was like a 10-year-old boy. And so my parents are there. And I remember running up and down the stairs for almost a week trying to copy the music that I had downloaded onto the family computer, onto the computer into my room from floppy disks because I didn't have
5 inches or 3 inch or the 5 inch?
5 inch.
Oh my gosh, even the big ones. Oh my gosh, that was like, that's not even a megabyte. That was like 5 or 800K kilobytes. It wasn't even a megabyte. I don't think.
I could get, there was only some songs that I could even fit on there. And then I did finally get a 3-inch drive. So I was able to get basically one song per trip. So it was go downstairs, copy it over, run it upstairs, copy it over.
Throw it in and copy it
I'd
over.
have to go up and down 12 times just to get an album onto my computer upstairs. And I had a very robust music library as a kid because my dad had LimeWire on our computer, and it was a problem. So we're talking thousands of songs that I copied from one computer to the other.
Oh my god. Yeah, the pioneer days of computer, because I live in the Microsoft era out here in Seattle, and we'd go down to places by Boeing Field where they'd have a big surplus of computer parts. It was and you could go through all these different bins and stuff like that, and you'd find a motherboard, or you'd find RAM was so much for eight whatever RAM was back in those days, but you kind of piece things together. Everything was pieced together, and then it would move so fast. 6 months down the road, it changed again.
Yep.
And now we're at the point where now I'm running on a couple of computers that are probably 6, 7, 8 years old, and they run just fine because the internet's now caught up with the computers to a certain extent. I think it can still be faster, but we're still running. We're doing a video talking back and forth.
Yeah.
With no problem. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I had better internet right now. But that's about the only limitation I have. My computer is pretty solid. I actually just had one of my friends built me bare bones, but everything that I needed to do what I need to do for work and for the show. And it's the best computer I've had in a while. But to your point about semi-outdated computers, I have a MacBook Pro from, I think it's from 2011 or 2012, that it just hit the point where I can't use almost any programs on it because I can't update the OS, and the actual programs are now starting to no longer service the operating system that I have.
Yeah, but I got those on. Yeah,
I got those. Use the file storage and the Explorer or whatever it's called in Mac, and I can use the internet just fine. Google Chrome and Brave, and those are still completely fine with the operating system that I'm on. So I could do basically everything I need to do except for the show. That was the biggest problem, because I do actually have a program that I run for the show. So it stopped working on my laptop, and that's why I went to the other computer. But everything else that I do, all of my work, all of my everything, and it's a 1 terabyte hard drive. So I can put all of my pictures, like when I finally get around to cleaning out my phone, like I could just dump it all into there and do that another 40 times before I fill it up. No, 400 times.
A terabyte's an awful lot.
Yeah, like
that's a lot.
Yeah. So
as I tell people, you download your stuff, but don't download everything, because those special memories you have. You go on a trip or something like that, you could probably do a whole trip with probably 5, 6, 7 pictures, maybe a dozen pictures, because then the other pictures, like you turn this way, you've turned that way, look up, you look down, there's a mountain, you can only do it so many times.
Yeah.
I used to be a photographer, and it's just like I go through my stuff and go delete. Why are you deleting all those? Because they look the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I scroll through my pictures, and it's funny you said mountains, because that's one of the pictures from like either I spent like 2.5 months in Salt Lake City and then 4.5 months in Colorado in 2020, and I was just in awe because I'm from the Northeast. We have mountains, but they're covered in trees, so you can't really. They don't look the same. Like it's so different when you're talking about Colorado or farther west mountains compared to like the Appalachians and the Adirondacks where I'm from.
Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, can we get above the tree line? So you get a tree line. I walk down my road probably a quarter mile, and I have this gorgeous view of Mount Rainier. Yeah, and yeah. When it's out, most of the time, a lot of times during the wintertime, they take Mount Rainier down because you can't see it. They clean it.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, I do love northeastern mountain ranges. Like the covered in the trees is beautiful, especially in the fall.
Oh yeah, that's what I miss. Yeah, I miss that.
You can't compare, but I had never really seen those types of the other types of mountains. When I went out there in 2020, it was my first time in the kind of southwest area at all, and I was just blown away. So I know that there's probably at least 500 pictures on my phone right now that could be 7. But
those are the kind of pictures that make a little movie montage or something you can see every once in a while.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, not every picture is going to be a memory you want to save forever and ever.
Right. The other biggest offender on my phone is screenshots. I take a bunch of screenshots and then I don't delete them. And so most of the time when I have to clean out storage, I start just in the screenshots album, which is why I haven't gotten to too many of the major duplicates of landscape photos. Because I'll go through and why do I still need all these screenshots of like a random Facebook post that I was mad about or something? I don't need to save this forever. I was just trying to send it to my friend real quick.
Yeah, I'll try to do a screenshot of when I'm working on my iMac or something like that. It's, oh, look at that screenshot, boom. I'll put it in, I'll use it, and I might put it up in my fixes folder, or I throw it right down in the garbage.
That's a good strategy.
We got too much stuff, and we have, there's only so much the brain can take in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I on the MacBook that I was just saying, it was set up to where all of my screenshots went like saved straight to my desktop, and that got messy fast. And they were just layered on top of each other. And I'm a person that likes to keep a very organized, clean desktop. Everything is in folders elsewhere. And all of a sudden it was just covered in screenshots. And I was
screenshots.
How do I send this? Because some of them really were ones that I needed to keep around for whatever reason, and I was like, I really need to figure out a better way to do this.
I like to do it when I'm doing my. I'll download my stuff from my phone, and then since Mac has their priority system sometimes, which doesn't actually like to play nice with other systems, I'll create a folder. Like it might be a folder of me, my wife, the pets, whatever, and then I'll drag copies over into those folders. And once they go in the folders, a lot of times it instantly changes over to a JPEG. And then when I'm in that folder and I'm gonna arc it, then I can actually still change the color of the picture. You know how they put a little orange dot, red dot, green dot, whatever you want to next to it. Mm-hmm. So I know I've used that picture already, and I don't go and use it again later down the road. So you get a little bit organized. It's actually pretty simple to do.
Yeah, it's a good strategy. Yeah. I do miss, because I'm back on Windows now, and I really miss the color coding tag thing from the Mac OS. That was one of my favorite features, and there's just nothing anywhere as close to it with Windows, like not even remotely anything that compares, and I'm like really missing it, which is one of the reasons why I think I'm gonna, the hard drive in this I think is 0.5 terabyte. So not only is it smaller, but it doesn't have that. So I'm gonna still just use my laptop for everything and hope it survives, because it's still running smooth
What do you got on it for? You got Catalina or what?
Yes. I want to say yes.
Yeah.
So my current problem with it is before I had my friend get me this other computer, I tried to jailbreak my laptop to allow
Ooh.
it to download the new OS so I could still run my streaming software off of it, to do the show. And it worked. I successfully did what I was trying to do, and
Worked.
it runs, but it does not like it. And so I haven't been using it much, and I'm going to try to undo what I did. I don't have that much actually that's still on there that isn't other places that I need. So even if I have to just like factory reset it, I'm fine with that, and just get it back to where it was. Because like I said, it was running really smooth, and then I did a dumb, and I really regret it. But it seemed like the right decision at the time because I couldn't really afford a new computer, and I was just like, this is a great computer. I think it can handle it. This is just like, that planned obsolescence or whatever that, it's just Apple trying to screw me, and I am going to beat them. And I didn't. It didn't work.
It didn't. Yeah, it's kind of like, sometimes you have to, we only have so many computer manufacturers and operating systems we can use. Yeah. And then you only have so many Android and Apple, the only ones that really do mobile applications, that you got to get licensed through them and, bow down to those gods. So Apple, I had one of my Apples. It was, I had to buy my scanner. I remember I told you about the scanner where you put the pictures into. I had to get some kind of a legal document scanned to send over to somebody as a PDF, I think it was, or a JPEG. Well, I couldn't use my Apple. I had to go buy the scanner. When I finally got the scanner, it wouldn't now run on my computer because I had to put the next operating system higher before it would actually upload on the computer. So about a day and a half later, I finally got the thing to work. Yeah, it's almost, they're kind of like you said, built-in obsolescence, but we're getting to the point where it's big jumps, 5 years, maybe 10 years obsolescence. Back in the old days, you might have been 6 months into it and they got a new operating system already. Yeah. And now everybody had to get that. Now something wasn't working right already. So at least Mac, I know Mac they really hammer back on their basic operating system and make it better and not have to put zillions of different bells and whistles to it. They just try to make their basic better. And then everybody else is trying to catch up. My Google Chrome and things like that. And, then they're trying to catch up with what Mac does. And that's when I go and have a beer.
Yeah, it's funny because I think it's almost the exact opposite when it comes to phones as it is with computers. Apple is really like, they put out a new iOS every year on the dot, and there's about a dozen or two updates throughout that, and they can be really obnoxious on the mobile side, but on the desktop side, you're 100%. They're fantastic, and they take like 3 years between major updates, and just tweak things and fix things, and they try to make it as perfect as possible before they release it. Where on the mobile side, you might do the full new big update, and then they have a bug fix 2 days later because it sucked.
Yeah. Always the bug fix. There's something's not working. It was working really great before. Well, you got to have this. Oh, you know what? That's not working right. It's kind of, you buy a new car. What's the first thing you get? Is a recall. Yep. Yeah. Computer recalls. Yeah.
But they would never do that with their desktop operating systems. It's a couple months before you have another like minor update after a major launch.
I know what
it's so weird.
My laptop, I swear it loads faster. It works quicker than my bigger iMac. But I don't. I should maybe use it more. But I like a mouse.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I've always used an external mouse, even when I'm running off of a laptop.
Off a laptop.
I hate the laptop mouse. I like Apple. the reformed elevator pitch
Elevator pitch.
that you've been working on, and tell people again where to find you, how to find the Kickstarter. I mean, that those both links are in the description, but you can tell them what they are, and tell them why they should go sign up today.
Oh, well, your life is your legacy, and we live our lives digitally from cradle to grave, and you might as well save some of it and hand it down to extra generations. You're going to hand something down to the generations, and 10 to 1 if it's a car, somebody's going to break it in the first generation. But yeah, it's very simple. Go to MyArkit, MyArkit.com. You can look it over. You can sign up for a 30-day free account. Check it out. You can also go to events.myarkit.com. Check over what events does. You can follow the links and the stuff on that. Follow us, more information, things like that, and it'll go right to our social websites and stuff like that. You can follow us, whatever we're doing. And we have a lot of stuff we're trying to do. And if somebody has a really rich aunt and they know where she keeps the checkbook, just get a hold of me.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I definitely did. Definitely go to myarkit.com, go follow the social medias that are right under him. And this 100% gets my personal stamp of approval. This is an awesome idea and a great business model, and 100% go check him out. And then you can come back next week. We've got Sean Parker coming on the show, and then 2 weeks after that, I will have a show in between there. I just haven't confirmed it yet. But 2 weeks after that, I'm gonna have Ben Heckman and Kyle Matovic talking about how to get into the music industry and their experience. Not super famous musicians yet, but their experience on channeling their passions and their ideas into their music, and how they actually formed bands and got songs produced. And if you guys are passionate about music and you want to learn about that, definitely check that episode out. I'm super excited about it because it's going to be in person. It's going to be all three of us in the same actual room, which I don't do a lot of. So super stoked about that. Come check it out. If you haven't already followed all of the social medias below, go get on that. What are you doing? And then, as always, keep up the fight. James, thank you so much for coming on. This was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thanks for having me on. It's been a blast.
All right. Well, I very much look forward to telling all of my friends and family about this. And again, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for watching. Catch you back here next week.
All right. Good show, David. That's cool. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, I gotta go get something to eat. I was gonna barbecue tonight, and I had it down on my computer as 9 a.m. and I was getting all ready for it this morning, and all of a sudden I look at it again, going, "Wait a second." I usually get an email from somebody okaying or clarifying the podcast, what times and stuff like that, and I started looking at it, going, "Oh, that's 9 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, that's 6 o'clock."